It's November in Florida, and it seems we have a million crops that we can be planting today. In this video, I'll talk you through each of those crops, and we might even plant some. Let's get into it. The first crop I want to talk about is arugula. Last month, I transplanted some arugula, and it's growing really well already. And I just got another seed packet from Botanical Interest of this arugula rocket, and I plan to plant this really soon. Probably not the whole bag because this is a whole lot to have all at once. But what I love about arugula is how fast it grows. Once you sow the seeds, you'll see sprouts as quick as 10 days, and then it's going to reach maturity in about 30 to 45 days. So arugula can be great to grow underneath one of those larger crops that takes a long time to reach maturity. It also tastes really good on a homemade pizza, which I had last night. Crop number 2 is beets. Right here we've got these golden beets that I purchased from another YouTuber in Florida. Her name is Jara from Jara's Garden. I got these seeds and I actually started them in a seed starting cell in about September, and I just transplanted them maybe 2 weeks ago. I also have some of the classic reddish purplish beets going in the garden, but they're a lot less mature since I just planted them from seed directly in the garden about 2 weeks ago. Beets are a root crop that are a little bit slower than a radish to reach maturity. Radishes are really fast, like 30 days. These will take maybe like 60 days to reach harvest, which is a nice amount of time for succession sowing. It's a nice amount of time to kind of learn from your mistakes. In Florida, we have such a long growing season for beets in the winter that you can really kind of correct what you might have done wrong and succession sow some more seeds. So I've already started a few rounds of beets. I'm going to start some more today. I actually picked up this really cute seed starting kit from Lushanddew. It's actually probably a good idea for a gift if you're interested. This is the Zone 9 seed bank that they offer. It's got a big variety of seeds. They actually have several different types of seed banks that you might want to buy. Some of them are your perennial vegetables. Some of them are like based on your zone. But what I love about it is that it's this cute little box. You open it up and it has this like guide about which crops are where. And then for beets, they're right here. You pull it out and you can see that's quite a pretty good number of beet seeds. And it's actually labeled on the back already too. This is something that could be a really good gift for like the beginner gardener. And if you use my affiliate code, you can actually get a 15% off. I'll put that link in the description box below. The third crop I want to talk about is broccoli. Right here is a Waltham 29 broccoli variety, which does really well in Florida. I actually had a great harvest from a Waltham 29 broccoli last year. And it's relatively easy to grow. I started it from seed in a seed starting cell, and then I transplanted it about a month later. It seems to have transplanted really well. And I think I'm at the point where I want to go ahead and add a support stake to this broccoli. So let's do that right now. I'm just going to use this bamboo stake and try to put it close, but not so close that I'm ruining all the roots. I am curious to know what variety of broccoli you've been successful with in the past, so please drop a comment below if you grow something other than a Waltham 29 broccoli. Crop number 4 is Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are something that I really love to eat. They are so good if you roast them in your oven after quartering them, and you can season them with something like garlic and salt and pepper, or you can even go sweet and do something like bacon and brown sugar. This is the first Brussels sprout that I planted this year. I started it from seed in a seed starting cell, and then I transplanted it a month after that. So it's been going for probably 7 weeks now, and it looks really good. Now let's go check out the one that I planted 2 weeks later. This was actually a leggy seedling, but I chose not to bury it extra deep because I've heard that will rot the stem. So you can see it's kind of already laying down, but it looks healthy otherwise. I think we just need to give it time for that stem to strengthen up, and I should go ahead and put a support stake on it right now. Again, I'm using a bamboo stake to do this. Just putting it nearby. I'm going to help support it vertically so that we can naturally have this stem turn in a more vertical direction. I've heard a lot of gardeners in Florida say that they have trouble with Brussels sprouts because it doesn't quite get cold enough sometimes and the growth will be stunted, but somehow I managed to successfully grow a Brussels sprout after direct sowing seeds last year. If you want to see my miserable harvesting experience, check it out in this video right here. I will say this is one of the hardest crops to harvest from. So if you have any secrets about harvesting Brussels sprouts, Let me know in the comments below. The next crop is cabbage. I have two varieties going already. One is a purple variety called Red Acre, and the other is a traditional green cabbage called Copenhagen Market. I grew Copenhagen Market last year and it was so fun. Although it took a really long time to reach harvest, it's pretty incredible to watch that head of cabbage grow. The next crop is one of my favorites. It's carrots. I have two different varieties going this year so far, but I just bought a third variety. This one right here is called a Kohlrabi carrot, and I purchased the seeds again from Jera's Garden. I'll put a link in the description box below to those seeds. Really great germination. Although the spacing is kind of bad on this, I had my 7-year-old daughter and her friend sow the seeds, and so we'll see how they do. They're a little bit crowded in some spots. I thinned a little bit, but I didn't want to, you know, ruin their fun with growing carrots. These carrots right here are a Danver variety, which is a shorter and stubbier carrot. These were sowed a few weeks after the Kohlrabi carrots on purpose because carrots take a really long time to reach harvest. And so I wanted to make sure that I was succession sowing every few weeks. And I just mixed up the variety as well. Just for fun, I picked up this cosmic purple variety from Botanical Interests, and I just got it in the mail, so I'm probably gonna sow these seeds really soon. The next crop I recommend growing in November is cauliflower. This variety is a Snowball Y variety from Botanical Interests. I actually bought this maybe late last year. It says it's good by December 31st, 2024, but they just kind of feel old to me because I've had them for so many months. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe put extra seeds in the hole just in case there's an issue with germination. Now the sprouts will come up really quickly, probably in about a week, maybe a little bit more than a week. But the days to harvest are going to be somewhere around 60 to 80 days. This is my raised bed that has had an issue with root knot nematodes. So I'm going to try to grow one longer term brassica crop in here and see how it does. I've treated for the nematodes. If you want to check out how I did that, look at this video right here. But I'm feeling like the other crops are doing so well that I'm gonna give it a shot and see what happens. I didn't even grow cauliflower last year, actually, not successfully anyway. I tried and it didn't even like form a head. I think because my soil was crap and didn't have enough organic material in it. So I'm gonna try again this year, and I'm interested to get to a point where like once you have the head of cauliflower forming, what you're supposed to do is kind of cover up the head with the outside leaves and pinch them shut with something like a clothespin or a gentle plant clip. And that's supposed to prevent your cauliflower from getting sunburnt. So I kind of want to try that. And I'll probably end up making cauliflower rice with the cauliflower in the end. So I just sowed the seeds, I labeled it. An extra step that I'm going to do is put this humidity dome on top. This is from my Vigo Garden seed starting kit that comes with like a tray, cells, and humidity domes. But my primary purpose of using it is trying to protect my direct sow seedlings. I've done it over there, I'll show you in a few minutes, on the radishes, and it's actually working really well to protect the seedlings. I've had issues in the past with direct sow where birds or slugs or something is running off with the really young seedlings and they don't even get enough time to develop roots that are strong enough to hold them down. So this is my method of direct sowing without having to worry about that issue. Lastly, I'm going to add some water just to make sure that seed has enough moisture, and because of the way the humidity dome is designed, it's going to go in this center channel right here and slowly drip onto the seedling. You can see that in the camera right there. The 8th crop to consider planting in November is celery. Now here's a crop where I recommend not starting from seed. Last year I started my celery from seed and oh my goodness, it just took like forever to actually develop into anything. So I would recommend either buying celery from the grocery store, chopping off the top part and planting the bottom part like you would with a green onion, or just going to your local nursery or big box store and buying a starter plant of celery. I think this is one of those crops where it's worth it to start with a store-bought transplant. Crop 9 is a Chinese cabbage. I got this one this year. It's called 1 kilo slow bolt Napa cabbage, and I've got 2 starts going, one right here and one right here. Funny story about Napa cabbage. The main reason I'm doing it this year is because last year when I grew a Copenhagen Market cabbage, after I harvested it, I realized what I wanted to do with it was make a homemade kimchi. So I made a homemade kimchi, but every recipe I came across for homemade kimchi started with Napa cabbage. So I had the wrong cabbage. This year I'm going to try again and get the right cabbage. The next crop is collard greens. My husband's from Alabama, so he's always asking me to grow some collards so we can make some greens for dinner. And last year I tried to grow Georgia Southern collards, but I think my raised bed just had like no organic material in there. I wasn't smart enough at the time to put any compost on top, and so they just kind of floundered the whole season. This year they're doing really well. I've added so much compost to this raised bed and crab meal and other nutrients. This year they're already doing better than they were last year. If you can believe it, these back here, these collard greens are already bigger than mine were at the end of the season last year. So it looks like it's going really well. Let's take a closer look. They're beautiful, right? The next crop is garlic. This one's on everybody's radar this time of year. I purchased 2 seed garlics from Keen Garlic, and I've had them vernalizing in the fridge for the last like 4 to 5 weeks. Now I'm probably going to vernalize for another like 3 weeks and hold off on planting these until the end of the month. But November to December is your time to plant garlic in Florida. The next crop is one that loves cooler weather. It's kale. Now I have started some from seed and transplanted them, and this variety is lushanddew kale. Lushanddew kale has nice flat leaves, so it's really easy to spot any pest issues and clean off any of those pests as you find them. Although I had major issues with my seedlings being really leggy, so I'm going to try to direct sow my next round of kale, and I actually bought a new kind. This is called Dazzling Blue. I think it's really kind of interesting with those like purplish midribs and then the green leaves. I think it's kind of cool, so I'm going to try that. The next crop is kohlrabi. Kohlrabi is one of those really cool crops. It's not a leafy green and it's also not a root veggie, but it has this stem that bulbs out, and you actually harvest and eat that swollen portion of the stem. I started my kohlrabi from seed in a seed starting cell, and then I transplanted it, and I had 4 of them when I transplanted it. Only 2 of them took and 2 of them died, so I direct sowed 2 more to fill out the space. Let's take a look. I also planted it with a bunch of cilantro because I can't seem to get enough cilantro. So here we are, but it seems to be happy being interplanted with cilantro and kohlrabi. Here is the kohlrabi. This one's probably the most mature that I have. It's already bulbing, and it's only been in the ground for like 4 weeks. There's another one back here with a bulb starting as well. The next crop is lettuce. Let me tell you, I have a bunch of lettuce seeds. Every time I order from Botanical Interest, they send me these thank you seeds. So I'm gonna go ahead and plant some. We can see I have plenty to go around, and I wanna give it a shot. Let me know in the comments below if you have received the same thank you packet and you've actually planted the seeds. The next crop is mustards. Now I purposely planted them in the raised bed where I have a root knot nematode issue because they can be used to repel root knot nematodes. And so I kind of wanted to get my feet wet with planting that crop. So far it's looking pretty good, and I'm excited to try to look up some recipes about how to cook it too. I know some of you have figured out a really great way to cook mustards. Let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking for new recipes to try. The next crop we should be planting in November in Florida is bulbing onions, and I swear these are my arch nemesis. I can't get them right. Last year I started from seed, direct sowed in the garden, but I totally screwed it up, didn't use the right type of onion. So I learned my lesson, did a little bit of research, and chose the right variety this year. You can check out that video right here. And for an update, let's look at how my onion starts are going. This is really embarrassing because they're not doing well at all. So when I started my seeds for the bulbing onions, this whole tray was full of these cells where I planted so many seeds of onions. Now I have experienced damping off, and I attempted to save some of those seedlings from the damping off by putting hydrogen peroxide on them. And I guess you could say it worked on some of them, and it probably solidified their death on some other ones. Now I'm down to hardly any starts, it seems. So what I did was I ordered some Texas 1015 yellow starts from Haas.com. They just haven't arrived yet, so once they arrive, I will go ahead and transplant those, and maybe I can transplant these. So next year maybe will be a good year. This one is a learning experience for me. Let me know in the comments below if you guys struggle with onions just like me. On the flip side, the next crop is bunching onions, and bunching onions to me are some of the easiest onions to grow. Last year I started some from seed, but honestly it's not necessary. All you need to do is buy a pack of green onions from the grocery store and take that bottom part with the tiny little bulb and the roots and put it in the ground, and they will grow. They will grow so fast, and I'm always having to harvest them, and then they grow right back, probably faster than I can eat them. The next crop is Irish potatoes. My husband's Aunt Susan used to have a potato farm in Palatka, Florida, and so I got a soft spot in my heart for growing potatoes. Last year I just bought Yukon Gold potatoes from the grocery store, and I let them sprout and planted them, and I gotta say it was one of the most fun things to harvest. This year I did it a little differently. I bought seed potatoes from Wood Prairie Farm, but it looks like this is another case where I did something dumb. Don't be like me, don't do dumb things. I ordered half a pound, and I guess without thinking, I didn't think how many that would be, and it turns out it's only 3. So what I'm going to do is take them out of the paper sack, let them grow eyes, and then you can put them in the light and let the eyes grow green sprouts. And at that point you can cut them up 1 eye per piece and then plant them. I will share that journey with you this year. I may actually go online and see if they still have some potatoes in stock and maybe buy some more, because I think I messed up and I want more potatoes. The next crop is one of my favorites to grow. It's so fast to harvest, which makes it so you can learn from your mistakes and try again really easily. I did a few rounds of radish growing last year. Some of them did not result in nice bulbs, but finally by the end of the season I feel like I had figured out how to get nice bulbs, so I'm excited for this year's harvest. The variety I chose was a cherry bell radish. This does really well in Florida, and it's that nice classic round red radish. The technique I used for planting them was direct sow, and I was trying to protect them by using these humidity domes that came with my Vigo Garden seed starting bundle. This is because I've just had too many experiences where my sprouts will run off from birds or some bugs getting to it, and I wanted to try to make sure that it had maybe like its first adult leaves before I remove the humidity domes and leave it out to the elements. Let's pull up one of the domes and see how they're doing. You can actually grow a lot of radishes in a little bit of space. So the spacing is usually 16 radishes per square foot. So this is a square foot. Each humidity dome has like 4 radishes in it, although I did double seed the holes with the intention of thinning. Let's check it out. Yep, so it looks like they're doing pretty well, except for this corner one. Maybe it'll survive, maybe not. These ones are doing well too, but again, I'm going to keep the humidity dome on until I start seeing some adult leaves, and at that point I'll take the humidity domes off and thin them. The next crop is a Daikon radish. Daikon radishes are a really interesting crop. They're sometimes used as a cover crop for no-till gardeners for the purpose of breaking up compacted soil in a natural way. The radishes are long and thick, so they'll really do a great job at almost drilling through the soil. Crop number 21 is spinach. I've never successfully grown spinach, but I think I'm going to try again this year with a Bloomsdale spinach. I think the reason I failed in the past is just because my raised bed that I put it in didn't have enough organic nutrients. But this year I'm confident the soil is much better. I'm going to give it a shot. Crop number 22 is Swiss Chard. I grew Swiss Chard in the heat of the summer, and it loves the heat. And here in Florida, it primarily stays warm enough for Swiss Chard to still be doing well. The 23rd and last crop I'm recommending today is turnip. I'm going to try these purple top white globe turnips, which I grew last year successfully. Right here in this raised bed, I've already gone through and made my labels. So I'm going to put these labels. So I'm going to go ahead and put these labels in the soil. If you want to check out my video about DIY plant markers using a label maker, I'll put a link to it right here in the corner of the screen. These are my tried and true DIY plant markers because they don't fade in the sun and they're reusable. What we're going to do is plant them 1/4 inch deep, and we can expect seedlings in about a week. Now I'm going to probably purposely put maybe like 3 seeds per hole, because I'm going to do 9 per square feet, and I can't necessarily do the humidity domes in a nice way on top of 9. So I'm going to choose a different tactic this time, and that's gonna be put enough seeds in the ground that it's okay if I lose some. I'm gonna go ahead and make holes, 1/4 inch. Let me know in the comments below how many of these 23 crops you're planting this month, and I'll see you guys next time.